vehicle and asset finance from ABSA. Finance from ABSA. Going the extra mile to get you financed.
It was diesel and dust in the Western Cape in the first round of the ABSA Off-Road Championship event in Darling. And with a short prologue, there was a mass of cars right on each other's tails all the way through the field of 62 starters. It made passing a difficult maneuver at times. Alfie Cox had started 39 seconds behind his teammate Hutchison, but he was on his way to clocking the fastest time for Loop 1, a 1 hour 23-minute effort. But Grobler and Jordan themselves were just a few ticks of the clock off that. While Foss and Pitchford were also right up there, keeping the red flag of Nissan flying high. The Atlas Copco of Berthold and Costain had a problem virtually from the start and dropped out, but their teammates, the Harpers, were flying up the order in their bat. While lap 2 also meant a meaningful move from Mark Ronje and Chris Birkin, who despite hitting a barbed wire and losing time with a puncture, were right in the thick of things. Variawa and Rousseau were battling their car with back brakes, but it did not seem to slow them down. With only one eye on the road after an altercation, Ford's Manfred Schroeder and his co-Ward Huxtable were piloting the absolute Barloworld Ranger to 2 very consistent laps, in fact within 3 minutes of their first. Harkis and Moore were feeling their way too in the new car and were never anywhere near pushing the envelope first time out. While Musaji and Bodhania clocked the 3rd fastest time on Loop 1, but lost some time due to a few mechanical problems on Loop 2. The Rapsa bat of Nandus Alberts and Colin Hunter had made a significant move up the order. They were 16th overall, but had charged into the top 12. For the class champions, Woolridge and Schulthammer, there wasn't much joy as they were strangely off the pace in the SP run. Walk was having a fun time in the Super Pay back with its 5.7-litre Chev engine, and he was also very consistent on the first 2 laps. But the dust, water and resultant mud was making some cars unrecognizable, the cries steaming along. While Gary Gillingham and Peter van Vieren in the Kopenhagen Hotel bat had overtaken several teams, they were up from 23rd and into the top 15. Class B second places Johan and Etienne Besaidnout in their Denko bat had picked up 2 spots to put the pressure on the leaders in their class. And in Class A, Karl-Heinz Silvold and Mannekes Helberg had made the move of the day. They were 45th overnight but were up into the top 12. The Century Property Development's Nissan Navara of Mark Corbett and Rudy Balza had been holding station just inside the top 20, but they'd been battling a disruptive misfire. Bloemfontein-based Peter Ruthven and Johannes Boshoff in the Rubicon bat had made up 15 places, up from 31st. Ruthven is the CEO of Rubicon, and they were having the drive of their lives. While at Denko's Bez Besaidnout was still recovering from a recent shoulder operation, but navigator Johan de Bruin kept him honest. Chris Visser and Jaapie Barnos kept the Toyota faithful on the lookout in the SP class as they were up from 35th and into the top 20. While the BB Auto Nissan of the Duplessis, Yuri and Andre was having a hard time keeping Ryobi's Henry Zamatin and his co-driver and brother Maurice at bay. It was a true battle of the siblings for supremacy in Class D. And neither of them could relax either as the Raysonic squad could see Labuschagne and Johan Gerber were right behind them, just waiting for a mistake or a wrong move to skip right on by. The Rubicon outfit had a second car in the running, with the Whites David and Gary, who were very consistent in logging their loop times, with David still getting used to receiving directions. Former national champion, the self-professed old man of the sport, Richard Schilling, and his faithful co-driver Chris Davies were just doing what they do best, going as fast as they can. They were 54th at the start, but were up into the top 25, despite this wrong slot here. The Bozel Truggy Zarko of Gil Nel and Sandra Labiskachny was solidly settled in the 4th place in Class B. However, there was just no one who could pass a flying Evan Hutchison and his navigator Akim Bergman. Their motorized bat was gliding along, and a small man with a big heart was piloting it to perfection and in the lead, making Hearts at the designated service point beat Custard in the motorized paddock.
No, I've had a good run so far. Basically led from the start, and Gary had a problem early on in the morning, so we went into the lead. Yeah, flawless run, the car's running beautifully, feeling nice and fit and strong. No problems. I'm not too sure exactly what's happening behind me. I think Alfie started to catch up, but we haven't heard any news. I'll find out what's going on now. One last lap, but no problems. Yeah, course was good, well marked, excellent event so far.
And that was the common consensus amongst the drivers. For Hannes Grobler and Francois Jordan, there was the joy of leading the production car class, and the proudly South African Nissan Navara was purring beautifully. But note Francois' red eyes due to the extreme dust. It was really tough out there.
Going okay. It's a bit different from normally. We dice with the time now instead of the other competitors, so we have to drive as fast as we can. We don't know how far the other guys are behind us and whether on the corrected times they're catching up on us, so we just try to maintain the best pace we can and not to make mistakes.
Voss and Pitchford arrived next, firmly ensconced in 3rd place overall and 2nd in the production car class. A 1-2 for Nissan. Voss was happy but clearly a tired and lucky driver.
Yeah, it's been going well up until about a K out of the end of the stage when the engine just died. The whole car cut for about 60 seconds. We fiddled with the battery and Ralphie found the problem. So hopefully we know what the problem is and we can fix it. But otherwise it's going well, no problems.
Within sight of DSP, Alfie Cox again thought his darling bogey had struck again.
We thought we were running out of fuel. Well, the car just stopped and the pumps were making a noise. About 3 kilometers from the finish, and Jack Pickham towed us in over the line, but he was only on his first lap, so thanks to him. And then Duncan towed us now in the transport stage to the finish. We're just trying to see what's wrong with the car.
Luckily for Cox, they got it going again. At DSP, it's wash the numbers, clean, refill, and hit the road again. In the Toyota paddock, a few pairs of pliers were working overtime, but Mark Cronier is not the type to get fenced in.
We've been having a good run. We clipped the fence earlier this morning, and unfortunately it's caught up in the rear caliper and it caused us to have a puncture. So other than that, we're having a great run. We were keeping a nice pace, and I was actually quite confident until we got the puncture. So we'll see now what happens.
They soon got the wire trim off. For Shamir Varayawa and the Total Motorsport Porter, there was a more serious problem. There was just nothing when he touched the brake pedal.
No brakes, but otherwise fine. Car is moving lovely. We had a break from 20 kilometers from the start, and we've been nursing it ever since. But actually we're doing quite good, considering we had a problem. But yeah, we'll see the last step what happens.
For Ford, there was some fortune and some misfortune. Manfred Schroeder could hardly see where he was going at times. The Ford Ranger was playing up.
Just the windscreen washer doesn't want to wash, and the windscreen's filthy, and for some reason when it's hot the car doesn't want to start. So we stalled twice and we had to wait for the next guy to push us again so we can get going again. Otherwise it's going very well, enjoying it.
For the 2006 winner of the Western Cape race in Darling, Brandon Harkis, it was a whole new experience. From a single-seater to a Ford Ranger SP in just 12 months, and he was determined to find his feet as soon as possible. And with his abundant talent, it didn't take too long at all.
Taking it easy, trying to get used to the car. Obviously first time arresting this car, so I've just had a cautious approach the whole day and been pushing probably like 75 or 80%, and we just seem to be making up time, so I'm really happy. The car's excellent. For first time out, I think the Fords are really good. There's time in my driving left, there's time in the car, and we're not far behind, so I'm really excited about this last lap. And this race's been really good to me in the past, so I'm looking forward to the last lap. It's going to be good.
And as the cars left DSP and went to the start line in time for the last loop, it was clear that the last 130 odd Ks of racing would be a race of attrition, consistency and pure doggedness. And as these gladiators of the off-road have told us 1,000 times, it's not the quick who win here, but the smart, those who can serve their vehicles at the right time and the right place. Designated service points, crews are stretched to the limit. They have but a few minutes to clean cars, helmets, visors, and in the case of the production cars, windscreens, set, change, repair, and then feed the drivers and navs before they hit the road again. For Plastotech's Richard Schilling, some sustenance was desperately needed for a 24-hour day, you see.
Energized bar one, old man, we still go through. We still drive the car quite quickly. Having a lot of fun. Yeah, made up time. I don't know what's happened to the other guys in our class, but we're enjoying ourselves and we're looking forward to finishing off this last lap and hopefully winning our class.
And he and co-driver Chris Davies were indeed the only Class S crew left standing. As for Hutchison and Bergman, there was no stopping them. The Motorride crew were on a seek and destroy mission.